Christopher, great to have you on. I mean, the Chancellor's faced with some choices, isn't he, to try and put a package together that will see those really under the cosh in this looming economic crisis alleviated from some pain. But what do you think he can do to make life a bit easier for those at the bottom?
Well, he can do one of two things. He can either get some welfare payments out to people, try and target them at people on lowest incomes, or he can cut taxes. I would lean towards cutting taxes, partly because welfare system is a very leaky bucket. It's quite an inefficient way of saving people money, whereas tax cuts are actually quite an easy and efficient way. The obvious one to tax, obvious tax to cut, as has been mentioned in the press the last 24 hours, is fuel duty. There's rumours of a 5p cut in that. He could potentially get rid of VAT on fuel. I mean, there are a lot of taxes he could cut. The tax burden in this country is the highest it's been for very many decades. But regardless of which of those two you do, you're still faced with the problem that you haven't got any money. And so you have the same problem either way. Either you borrow more money to give people handouts, or you borrow money to make up for the fact that you're losing tax revenue.
Yeah, the Chancellor's definitely not in an enviable position, but how much can we forgive him for the crisis currently facing the UK, considering there was an unprecedented pandemic and considering Russia's invasion of Ukraine is certainly a huge contributory factor into things like rising fuel prices and inflation?
Yeah, I mean, what's happened is fairly predictable. I mean, many people, including ourselves at the IEA, were saying when the government was dishing out all the money over the course of the pandemic that this is going to lead to inflation. We've been printing most of the money we've been, quote, borrowing. But, of course, you're right. I mean, what was the alternative? There were probably some things that could have been done. Maybe we could have cut down on the enormous amount of fraud that was involved in the system, for example. But we've had two very difficult periods in a row. I think people accept that our solidarity with the Ukraine is going to involve us having to make some sacrifices, and that putting the economy on hold for months on end during the pandemic is going to lead to some pain later on down the line. The trouble is people aren't really used to pain economically. And whenever there's a problem, the government is expected to step in and sort it out, usually with borrowed money. But that is coming to an end.